It started as just another neighborhood get-together, the kind where plastic cups are filled with cheap wine, and everyone pretends they're closer than they actually are, all while the unspoken competition of was their life more together hums in the background. I didn't think much of it when the conversation turned to my husband. Mark's always been a little socially awkward, the kind of guy who trips over his words or tells a joke that no one gets until it's too late. Sure, I'd roll my eyes at him plenty of times, but that night, fueled by a few too many glasses of Chardonnay and the easy encouragement of the group, I joined in. "We love Mark," someone said, half laughing. "But he's, a little different." "Oh, you have no idea," I chimed in, the words spilling out before I could think. "You should see him try to fix things around the house. It's like watching a YouTube tutorial in reverse. Everything just ends up worse." People laughed, not the polite, "Oh, that's funny" laugh. No, this was the real, belly-deep kind of laugh that feeds your ego and makes you feel like you're the funniest person in the room. So I kept going. "I swear, sometimes I think Mark's secretly auditioning for America's Funniest Home Videos," I said. "Like the time he tried to fix a garbage disposal and ended up flooding the kitchen. Classic Mark." By then, everyone was in on it. The men slapped their knees. The women nodded knowingly. I glanced at Mark across the patio. He was standing by the grill, flipping burgers, his face a careful mask of indifference. That should have been my clue to stop, but the laughter felt too good. And don't even get me started on his sense of direction. I continued, grinning. Mark could get lost in his own driveway. He's got this app now that's supposed to help, but half the time he argues with it. No, I know a better way. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. Another round of laughter. Even Karen, the woman who'd always looked down on me since we moved in, was wiping away tears. For once, I felt like I was winning. That's when Mark put down the spatula. At first, I thought he was just stepping away to grab something, but he walked toward us. His shoulders were stiff, his jaw tight. The laughter died instantly. "Funny stuff, huh?" he said. His voice was calm, measured, but there was an edge to it I'd never heard before. "You know what's really funny? Spending 15 years trying to make someone happy, only to find out you're the punchline at a backyard barbecue." The silence that followed was deafening. I tried to laugh it off, but the words felt wrong. Mark didn't laugh. He didn't even stay. At first, I thought he was just overreacting. It was just jokes, right? People tease their spouses all the time. That's what I told myself as I put on a pot of coffee and stared out the window, trying to convince myself I wasn't the villain here. But the truth kept gnawing at me. I could still see his face, the way his voice cracked when he said, 15 years. I didn't know what stung more, his leaving, or that I hadn't seen it coming. The text started up again mid-morning. Karen, ever the nosy neighbor, was first. "Hey, just checking in. That was something last night. Hope you're okay." Then came Jennifer. "I feel awful. Do you want to talk? Maybe grab lunch." Even Karen's husband, Dale, chimed in, "Mark's a good guy. Hope you two work things out. Let me know if I can help." They all meant well, I guess, but each message was like a little spotlight on my failure. It got worse when Karen texted again, this time with a photo. It was Mark, sitting alone at a coffee shop across town. "Saw this and thought of you. Maybe you should go talk to him." I wanted to scream or cry or throw my phone across the room, but instead, I just stared at the picture. Mark looked calm, resigned, maybe like someone who'd already made up his mind about something. By lunchtime, I was pacing the living room, trying to sort out how things had gotten so bad. It wasn't like we didn't love each other. Sure, we weren't the couple who posted anniversary tributes on Facebook or called each other babe in public, but we had a good thing, right? I thought about the last time we'd really talked. Not the logistical stuff like grocery lists and bills, but an actual conversation. It had been months, maybe longer. Somewhere between the daily grind and my habit of venting about him to friends, I'd stopped seeing Mark as someone who could break. And now, apparently, I'd found his breaking point. That afternoon, I tried calling him. He didn't answer. So I texted, "Mark, I'm sorry. Can we please talk?" No response. I waited an hour before sending another one. "I'm not okay. I need to hear from you." Still nothing. By 4 p.m., the coffee pot was empty and my nerves were shot. I started Googling things like what to do when your husband leaves and how to fix a marriage after screwing up. I ended up on a forum for women going through separation. Most of them seemed as lost as I felt, except for one comment that stuck with me. You can't fix it if they don't want to be fixed, but you can show them you're willing to try. So I tried. The first thing I did was drive to the coffee shop where Karen had spotted him. I didn't have a plan. I just figured seeing him in person might help. But by the time I got there, he was gone. The barista said he'd left about an hour ago, and no, he hadn't left a number or forwarding address. Next, I went to his brother Tom's house. Tom lived a couple of towns over and had always been the family mediator. If anyone could talk sense into Mark, it was Tom. But Tom didn't know where Mark was either. "What the hell happened, CLA?" he asked, his arms crossed as he leaned against the doorframe. "It was a stupid fight," I said, my voice cracking. "Not even a fight. I was just joking around, and he got upset." "Joking about what?" "Stuff, you know. Just teasing him like everyone does." Tom didn't laugh. "You're not everyone, Claire. You're his wife." That night, I sat in our bedroom, surrounded by reminders of him. His pillow, his clothes in the closet, the half-empty bottle of cologne on the dresser. Everything felt off balance, like the house was holding its breath, waiting for him to come home. I kept thinking about the note he left. The words "you made your feelings clear" stuck in my head like a bad song. Had I really made him feel like that? By the time I finally fell asleep, I wasn't angry anymore, just scared. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't something that could be fixed with an apology or a romantic gesture. I'd broken something, and I didn't know how to repair it. The next morning, I knew I had to face the truth. Mark wasn't coming back unless I gave him a reason to. I couldn't just wait around hoping he'd get over it. So I swallowed my pride and drove to his office. I parked outside for what felt like forever, rehearsing what I'd say. But when I finally went inside, his assistant told me he hadn't been in all week. That's when it hit me. He wasn't just taking a break from me. He was stepping away from his whole life. A few days later, I got another note in the mail. Not an email, not a text, an actual letter. "CLA, I've been staying with a friend and thinking things through. I keep going back to that night. And it wasn't just the jokes. It was a realization that you stopped seeing me as your partner a long time ago. I don't know when it happened, but it's clear now that it did. I can't be the guy you laugh at to feel better about yourself. I deserve more than that, and honestly, so do you. I've decided to file for divorce. It's not an easy decision, but it feels like the right one. I hope we can handle this respectfully. Take care. Mark." The finality of it crushed me. My first instinct was to argue, to beg, to fight. But deep down, I knew he was right. I'd spent so much time nitpicking his flaws and venting to other people that I'd forgotten what it meant to love someone fully. Flaws and all. That night, I sat in the empty house and let myself feel every bit of it. The regret, the shame, the sadness. I wanted to hate him for giving up, but I couldn't, because if I was being honest, I'd given up first. The divorce was quick and quiet. We didn't have kids or a ton of assets to divide, so there wasn't much to fight over. Mark moved into a small apartment a few towns over, and I stayed in the house. People in the neighborhood stopped bringing it up after a while. Life moved on, as it always does. But every now and then, I'd see Mark at the grocery store or driving past in his car. He always looked content. Peaceful, maybe, but not happy. And I hated how much it hurt to know he'd found that peace without me. It's been a year now, and I'm still figuring things out. I've been in therapy, trying to unpack what went wrong and how I let myself become someone who took the person who loved me most for granted. The truth is, Mark leaving me was a wake-up call I didn't know I needed. It's made me question everything. How I see myself, how I treat the people I care about, and what I really want in a relationship. Do I miss him? Every damn day. But I also know he did the right thing. Because sometimes, the only way to save yourself is to walk away from someone who's already let you go.